For one final time in the 2023 regular season, we welcome you into Special Edition. The Dallas Cowboys are sitting at 11-5 and an opportunity to win against Washington and take home a division title. That is the only scenario the Cowboys are looking at this week to try and take that number 2 seed in the NFC and set everybody up for playoff success. Alongside Nate Newton, Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and not only are we going to preview the Week 18 regular season finale against the Commanders, we're also going to take a look back at the 20-19 win over a very good Detroit Lions team, and it was tight all the way up into the finish, a wild finish based off of 2-point conversions, calls, no calls, flags, penalties. It was a mess at the end. But Barry, how impressed were you in the fact that Dallas got the job done in Week 17?
I was extremely impressed because we've seen this team in past, get in those type of situations and find a way to lose games. So to me, what they're able to do going out there and getting this victory, it should put a little bit of confidence towards what they're about to do during this postseason run.
Yeah, I just like the fact that they had to overcome adversity. And when you have to overcome adversity of that level against that level of opponent and coaching, then you learn a lot about yourself. And you check a box that might have been unchecked going into that game, and especially going into the playoffs. You feel a lot more confident.
We just proved that we can play through adversity. It was a hot and contested game, and I just want to thank you, Dan Campbell, for being real smart.
For being very aggressive and going for it 3 straight times to try and get the win. And you'd think after 1 or 2, maybe you just kick the field goal and go to OT, but that's okay. Hey, the Cowboys were in that position, though, because of a career day from C.D. Lamb. Not only did he set a new career high in receiving yards, but he broke the single-season Cowboys franchise record for receptions in a year and receiving yards in a year. Isaiah, I'll start with you on this one. I mean, it's been an incredible season for C.D. Lamb, but what has set him apart this time around?
I think he's just confident in his abilities and in this offense. I mean, you talk about CeeDee Lamb and what his progression has been over the years. He came in, he was obviously lights out. The next year he worked on his releases, he worked on trying to get out the ball, got a little bit bigger, and all of a sudden he's putting it all together. You couple that with the fact that this is a new offensive system. He has a quarterback that's putting the ball on the money, he's making good decisions, and they're finding ways to move him around. It's hard to find this guy, and it's hard to stop him because this dude is absolutely lights out this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it just goes to prove with all the offseason work that he was able to put in is really paying dividends out there, because not only is he the number 1 receiver on this team, but I think he's the number 1 offensive threat on this team. And Mike McCarthy has done a great job of being able to get him the football and get him involved early and often.
I tell you what, man, running back, slot receiver, outside receiver, motion behind the formation. This guy's had a great season. He's doing a great job.
And, of course, the offense was working in the right direction, but the defense held Detroit to just 19 points, forced a couple takeaways at the same time. Barry, when you look at this defense, have they continued to take a step in the right direction?
They have, and taking the football away is great. It is great for this team going forward. But to me, what concerns me is the end of the game situations, because this is back-to-back games. Miami, Tua was able to drive down the football field, get the field goal at the end to secure the win. And you talk about this game with Detroit. Jared Goff once again was able to drive down the football field, get a touchdown at the end. Questionable call for the 2-point conversion. They barely escaped with that, but that's just something you want to keep your eye on as we go forward with this team. Can they perform in those late game situations?
I like that they did stop the run these past 2 games, and they did it in style. DeMarcus Lawrence keep doing what he's doing, and Michael Parsons joined him on the run-stopping adventure this week. And
they got the job done in a tight game against Detroit, and it's not it for the Cowboys. Because of some help, they have a chance to win the NFC East this time around. And when we come back on Special Edition, what is it going to take down Ron Rivera and the Washington Commanders? Are they playing for their head coach? Or are they going to go into the offseason on a low note? We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
It's always dangerous to go against someone who has nothing to lose. They can pull out all types of tricks and gambits and gambles because they want to make a statement. We just want to beat the Cowboys, and And, you know, like I said, their back's against the wall. They want to see what they have for next year and prepare for that. And, you know, we got to go and make a statement and say we are the better team, we are the more dominant, aggressive team, and we just got to prove that Sunday.
So Micah Parsons believes the Washington Commanders are going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, into this one in Week 18 to try and win one. For Ron Rivera, possibility this could be his final game as the head coach in Washington. But they have weapons and names to look at. I mean, this is a team that likes to throw the rock around, and let's start at the quarterback position because of it. Not only Sam Howell up in terms of the leaders of receiving yards, but he's also in terms of tops of being sacked and tops of throwing interceptions. And it's been kind of a mess on offense. Isaiah, what have you seen from the quarterback position in Washington?
These guys don't know what the heck's going on over there. They're trying to figure it out. I mean, they're really, you know, Barry might be the quarterback this weekend for all we know. But Sam Howell, I mean, he's a fighter. I mean, he does fight, but I don't think that he's the most accurate of guys. And he gets a little bit of happy feet in the backfield. And ultimately, they're just struggling offensively. I think that this week will be a challenge just from the standpoint of the game planning. I think Eric Bieniemy will have more of an impact than any of the players will on them.
Tell you what, man, 61 look good on me, but not on a quarterback. This kid been hit 61 times, sexy. That's ugly, man. 19 interceptions. I thought Eric Bieniemy would bring him along with a run game, but it's been all him. Too bad, my man. You are through.
And that's the thing with Sam Howell specifically is if you're going to get sacked a lot, you're normally going to throw some interceptions because you're trying to get the ball out quicker, you're trying to force it into tighter windows, and then, of course, it leads to turnovers. With that being said, this is a team that can still run the ball. They've got a couple of tailbacks that they can give it off to, both Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson. Barry, when you look at the run game, which one of those two guys holds the most punch?
I would have to say Robinson. I think he's a bigger back out there, downhill, more of a, lower the pads, trying to get through you rather than shake you up. So to me, this will be a good test overall for the Dallas Cowboys defense heading into the postseason. Where do they match up as far as a team that likes to run the ball down their throats? Hopefully they can stand up and stop this Washington running attack.
Robinson is a beast. He's outstanding. I like him a lot. They've kind of gotten away from Antonio Gibson, but Robinson is a beast. He can do it all.
And they like to rely on both of those guys. Gibson, maybe not as much as the season's gone along. He's a free agent going in to this offseason as well. It'll be interesting to see how they split the carries there. Also, you could split targets among three weapons on their offensive side as well. Of course, we've talked plenty in the past about scary Terry McLaurin, who hasn't been as scary here in 2023. Jahan Dotson, along with you've got Logan Thomas at the tight end position. Isaiah, out of these weapons, where do they really compare to some of the teams Dallas has faced in the past?
I think these guys have the talent, but I don't think that they're being, utilized or given opportunity to utilize their talents because of the protection up front, because of their ability to get back to the quarterback. But if you give these guys time up front to be able to release the ball, then Scary Terry and Dobbs, all these guys can obviously eat against you, especially big Logan Thomas in the middle. I don't think that Dallas has had a tight end that they've had to be concerned about really all year long outside of Kittle. But I think this might be an opportunity if Howell has time to throw the ball.
Yeah, this is still a dangerous receiving core when you look at it. You can't sleep on these guys. All three of their main receivers, Dotson, Samuel, and McLaurin, all averaged over 10 yards per catch last time they were going against this Dallas Cowboys secondary. The difference, like Isaiah just said, their offensive line for Washington couldn't hold up against Dallas's defense. Sam Howell was running for his life. He gave up 4 sacks out there. But if they're able to block up just a little bit on this Dallas defense, I wouldn't be surprised if this Commanders receiving core was able to put up some numbers.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you got to start up front, and they haven't been winning the battle of the trenches on the defensive side too. Nate, when you look at this team, they're built around their 2 defensive tackles, Deron Payne, and then you've got Jonathan Allen on the middle as well. With both of those guys there, do they have any pieces outside of that?
No, not many that you can talk about. They are linebackers are okay. They're not big body bangers. If you just take those 2 guys and make sure you run outside and make them guys extend themselves, you can punish this Washington defense.
Yeah, outside of those 2 big boys in the middle, I'm not so sure that this Washington team can match up against Dallas and this Dallas offense. When you look at it, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb on the outside, they have nobody to match up with him. Not to mention Cooks over there as well. So to me, this could be a big time passing game for Dak Prescott out there, and hopefully we sprinkle in a little bit of Tony Pollard.
Man, that'd be fun to see the run game get going right before the playoffs get started. That would be a huge plus for this Cowboys team. Plus, when they get in the playoffs, Mike McCarthy could see a familiar uniform on the opposite sideline. Could McCarthy possibly see his former team, the Green Bay Packers, in the first round? We're going to outline some playoff scenarios next.
This segment was brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan. This segment is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
So here are the possible 7-seed opponents for the Dallas Cowboys. This is, of course, assuming the Cowboys take care of business in Week 18 and win against Washington, taking the number 2 seed. The most likely, the top 2 teams right now in that NFC playoff picture, the Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers, followed by the Seattle Seahawks. Then there's a slight sliver of a chance you can see the New Orleans Saints, and then, of course, the Minnesota Vikings. Back here on Special Edition, let's talk through some of these possible matchups, starting with the 3 teams most likely to see the Cowboys in the first round. Isaiah, I'll start with you. The Los Angeles Rams face the San Francisco 49ers this week, but neither team playing a lot of their starters. This is kind of interesting. If the Rams lose, that's pretty much a lock for them to be in the 7th spot.
Yeah, the Rams are obviously dangerous. Luckily, Dallas has faced them earlier in the season, so they are fully, capable of understanding what they bring to the table. But honestly, they don't scare me. I think that defensively, you feel good about your personnel versus their offensive personnel. They obviously have 2 solid receivers out there. Their running game is going, but I don't think that there's anybody defensively outside of Aaron Donald that is a threat to you from being able to score.
What about the Green Bay Packers? This is a team that's caught fire as of late. They've figured some things out with Jordan Love and company, Barry Church. It could be Mike McCarthy versus his former team. I know you've specifically had some battles with the Packers in the playoffs. Is this the same sort of scenario?
Yeah, this is a team that I wouldn't want to see. Give me the Rams, give me the Saints, everybody, give me the Vikings, everybody else. I would not want to see the Packers. I mean, right now they're on a little bit of a heater. Jordan Love is playing excellent football right now at the quarterback position. They got a big bruiser in the backfield, A.J. Dillon, and that defense, it's a little, leaky at times, but they got a secondary that can match up with the Dallas Cowboys. So to me, this is a team that you do not want to see in that first round of the playoffs.
And then the one final team that we'll take a look at is the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, the Cowboys defeated the Seahawks a couple weeks prior, 41-35. It was a tight matchup at AT&T Stadium. But, Nate, when you look at this Seattle team, do they scare you as much as maybe some of those other ball clubs?
That's the team that got all the talent, offensively and defensively, man. I love them to death for their talent. But at home, I fear no one. Bring from number 4 all the way to number 34. That's the percentages. I don't care.
Face anybody. You're ready to go as long as it's in Arlington. Yeah. I feel you on that one. All right, when we come back on Special Edition, Isaiah Stanback takes to the film room. We talk about some of the red flags that Mike McCarthy's team have seen here in 2023. What does Dallas need to fix before the playoffs?
This segment was brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
I know it's going to be a physical game. This is a physical team that we're playing, and we got to come in with that mindset of, swinging first, getting the first punch and keeping that same mindset throughout the game.
Tony Pollard saying beware of the records. They might be 4-12, but the Washington Commanders still bring plenty of physicality, both on the offensive and defensive side of things. As we welcome you back to Special Edition, he's Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Let's take a look at this run game for the Cowboys, both on offense and on defense. 2 concerns for the Cowboys are going to be running the football and stopping the run going into that final week of the regular season and then into postseason play as well. Let's start on the offensive side of things. What can Dallas do better as they go up against Washington this week?
Right now, offensively, you have to find a way to run the ball. And what you've shown on film, schematically, you're going to have to change some things as you progress through the season. We're now at the end of the season, week 18, and against the Detroit Lions, they seemingly knew exactly what your assignments were, and they schemed it up perfectly to shut you down. So let's take a peek as to what took place there. 2 guys to watch, okay? Defensive end and a linebacker for Detroit. These guys know exactly what's going on. How do I know that? Because right off the back, you're going to see this defensive end pinch in. As soon as you see him pinch in, you know Tyron Smith has to follow. You have a combo block right here. You're trying to get Mr. Tyler Smith up to the linebacker, but he knows exactly what's going on. So by pinching the defensive end, this defensive end, by him going inside, he knows Tyron's going to follow. Right off the back, this linebacker is going to scrape over the top and now really lock down the run. Let's go ahead and see it play out. So boom, here we go. We're coming inside here. All right, Tyler, pause it right there. Tyler is looking for the man at the next level. But where did he go? He now scraped over the top. Now he knows nobody's responsible for him. He's able to make this stop in the backfield. And then backside, he has help coming as well. That is a good old stop for a tackle for loss. That's how they knew exactly what Dallas's blocking schemes were and were able to shut that down.
What happens whenever things go right, though, and everything schemed up works in the right favor for the Cowboys?
All right, so here we go. Now you're coming out, okay, and you're trying to figure out how can you get up to the next level. Are you going to have combo blocks? The guys are doing a great job. We're getting things sealed off here. We're working up to the next level. Now you're going to ask your fullback to come up and make a big block, and he does so. And then who's the highlight on? Well, you need your running back to win against the guy that you don't have assigned for a blocker. So, boom, here we go here. Hunter Lipke's doing a great job of coming up. Boom, seals his block. We got kick out. Everybody's getting walled off. Now you just let it play out a little bit. You're going to see somebody present themselves right at the top of your screen. This is the free safety. Boom, pause it right there. This man right here that's who is responsible for Mr. Tony Pollard. Well, guess who else is responsible? Tony Pollard has to win that matchup. When you draw this up, Tony Pollard has to be able to come up, make a decisive move, and win on the back end of this. And he does not do so. He was able to make a tackle right here. So it's a good run, but it should have been a home run because of how it was schematically done by Coach McCarthy and staff.
If we could really quickly go back to the beginning of this play, and like you said, Tony Pollard's got to make a man miss. But I really like the different wrinkle. We're talking about changing things up in the final week of the regular season. This is where your center is, right? That's the center of the line of scrimmage. You've got Tyron Smith out here, offensive lineman, and then Luke Schoonmaker is your left tackle. That's a wrinkle. That is different for whenever you go into the final week of the regular season, and then, of course, you go into playoff time. Now let's flip it to the defensive side. When you look at the defense, what are some things they could do better?
Yeah, we have to be gap disciplined. And right now, there's just not seen a lot of guys being gap disciplined. One guy who has been DeMarcus Lawrence. And you're going to see him do his best to try to split these two the two offensive linemen. Okay, but the one man who does not do his job is going to be Mr. Mozzie Smith. Mozzie goes backside. So if we have one man coming in here, we have one man going backside, and this guy is going on the backside as well. We're coming here. What is going to happen in the middle of this field? There's going to be a gaping hole right in the middle of this offensive line, and then the next man up is going to be your linebackers. Let's see it play out. Okay, ball is snapped. Boom, we see our D-Law knows what's going on. Mozzie chooses wrong. He wins, right, seemingly, but he gets tripped up. But he goes backside. By going backside, and now you have your other guy on the other side. Look at what's going on in the middle here. This is exactly what you want as a running back. The next guys that can make the play are going to be your safeties, and they have to come up here and fill gaps. They don't, and you're able to get a couple extra yards here. That is a great design run, but also bad gap discipline by our defensive line, and that's why our linebackers are having a problem being able to come up and make tackles.
And that's not the only thing going wrong on defense, right?
Not at all. These guys are not. There's a lot of hesitation going on and a lot of avoidance. We're going to see here. Mike is going to do his best to try to come off the edge. Okay, Osa ends up getting double teamed right here. These guys just simply bully ball him out the way, and then we have what's going on the backside. We have good old
Marquise Bell.
Yeah, Marquise Bell. He just runs away, and what ends up happening is you get the whole left side of your defense gets washed out. Everybody goes backside, and now what happens on the backside? Now you got straight run-throughs all day long. You have to have gap discipline. What else happens? Curse. You have to step up. Wilson, step up. All these guys are hesitating at the second level. You have to come up and enforce your physicality. And whenever your guys get blocked up front, there has to be somebody that says, no, you're not going any further. And they were just not seeing that to date.
That's the thing is the Cowboys have done better these last 2 weeks, but going into the playoffs, you got to continue to see a step in the right direction. There's a couple ways the Cowboys can get it done. Is that a key to the win this week against Washington, or is Dak Prescott and company going to be the key for the Cowboys to get a win and lock up the NFC East? We'll talk about it next.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wrapping up the final regular season episode of Special Edition with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, and Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. All right, keys to the game, Isaiah. How does Dallas get it done and win the division?
Come out there, bust them in the mouth, take care of business in the first half, come out healthy.
Force Washington to understand they don't belong on the same field as you. You should get that done, and you'll be done by halftime.
Stay clean, no penalties, no turnovers. We win by big.
All right, what's your score?
We're going to beat these two by 75 points. We're going to close the season out right. Yes.
Goodness gracious, Nate. That's a huge, okay, 75 points. Here we go. Next time we're back on Special Edition next week, it'll be playoff time in Texas.